Hey everybody, welcome back to Tavian's World of Reptiles. I hope you are all doing well and taking care of yourselves today. I am hanging out with Beetlejuice. I know that people have been wanting to see a little bit more of him. And I figured just for this video I would at least take him out so that people could check him out and see how he's doing, even though I haven't gotten him to consistently eat yet. So if there's anybody who's saying, oh, he's looking a little thin, yes, I know, I'm working on it. Okay, so save those comments. I understand. Now, today I wanted to talk about something that I feel like we all, as a part of this community, need to keep in mind as we continue to gain knowledge and experience over the years. It is something that I've seen way too commonly, mostly, in those very toxic Facebook groups. We all know how toxic those spaces can be. They're really just filled with a lot of people, those people who've had an animal for all of a month and all of a sudden they're experts and everything you're doing is wrong compared to what they've to know. Or those people who've had it for just a few years and now they're just kind of in the mindset of like, this is how I learned to do it, and now I can tell you everything about what's wrong about your keeping. But more than anything, there are those people who have been in this hobby who've been keeping for 10 plus 15, 20, 30, whatever years, just as much as Brian and any of the rest of the big name keepers out there. However, they've kind of just got this mindset that because they have been keeping for as long as they have been keeping, that they know more than anybody else, that they know more than somebody who's only been keeping for a few years, aka the more years of experience that they have, the more knowledgeable they have. That's their mindset. And I definitely think we need to be more aware of just how dangerous and toxic that can be for this hobby as we continue to grow with our own knowledge. I mean, there are a lot of people out there, some of those people who just will not take advice from somebody who hasn't been keeping as long or longer from them, and that can be problematic. There's a lot of people who are coming into this hobby who have a massively different kind of outlook on things, and there are people who are seeing things that others have missed. And so to be shut down from somebody who was come newer to getting into herpetoculture or whatever it is they're getting into, is kind of a little bit of it's staling yourself out. It's what it is. It's keeping yourself in a space where you're not really growing. Because new people coming into the hobby have fresher eyes. They have newer ideas. They've got more energy to go out and do the footwork. To actually learn more about these animals and learn the difference between how we're keeping them in captivity as compared to in the wild. Things have changed. Like the animals' dynamics have changed over the last 20, 30 years. What we've learned about the animals have changed in the last 20 and 30 years. And so if you are in this mindset of, well, I've been doing it for this long, therefore I know more than you, that kind of keeps you in a kind of old school mindset. You don't really grow more. You don't open yourself up to hearing this newer learned information that we have out there nowadays. And that's come from people who have not been keeping 20, 30 years, but have a passion for it, have thrown their whole selves into it, has learned this, and this about this particular species of animals, and is now trying to share it. And if people are going to be shut down and not willing to be open and hear what these people have to say just because of the fact that they have not been keeping as long, that can be really toxic for our hobby. It really makes it so that people who are newer coming in, who might be turning to those, 30, 40-year experienced individuals for advice, but getting really old school information from them because those people have refused to change their methods or adapt their methods or anything because they feel the way that they were doing things 20 and 30 years ago, the way they learned to do things 20 and 30 years ago is the way that it should be. And all this new age stuff is just, I don't even know what people are thought. It's just not the way they think should be done or they think it's all just wrong. It's just a bunch of sensitive, people trying to be too sensitive about their animals or putting human emotions on the animals, when in reality, it's just been a lot of hardcore research. There's been a lot of time spent observing these animals and really recognizing the differences between these animals in captivity from 20, 30 years ago to what we're doing now, and how they actually thrive in the wild, and how much information, how many resources we had actually to go out in the wild and study these animals. Was It's significantly more than it was 30, 40 years ago. We've got a lot more resources than we've ever had before now. So we're able to learn a lot more now. So all these newer, younger people who are coming to the hobby are being able to use those resources to actually bring more information to people in the hobby. And so people who are stagnant and thinking, oh, 20, 30 years, 40 years ago, this is how they were done, this is how we should continue to do it. And we don't want to listen to these young cats because they don't know anything. Not a wise mindset. Definitely just stalemate yourself. So I think as we as keepers, I've only been in this for over 10 years now. Maybe I'm probably creeping up on 11 and 12, maybe 13 years on keeping, and I definitely feel like I have a lot of knowledge to gain. I feel like I've gained a lot of knowledge. If I think back to my keeping methods 10 years ago, oh gosh, I cringe to think about some of the ways that I was keeping 10 years ago, and the things that I thought were the way to go 10 years ago. However, I now know that I have to be open to continuing to grow, and I've learned a lot more. And because I've been open to hearing, oh, what have people learned about the ways we should keep our animals, and being open to change that, then I've now be able to provide my animals really great and enriching lives. And that's really what I think is important in the end, is what we're providing for our animals, and learning to adjust so that we can continue to provide the best for our animals. Now, I've been keeping, like I said, for about 13 some odd years, and I don't know everything, and I expect 10, 20 years from now, I'll have a lot more knowledge, but I still won't feel like I cannot listen to somebody else who only has 10, years of knowledge later on in my life. Like, I'm definitely still going to be open to hearing what those people have to say, because as time goes by, I'm going to throw myself into a lot of different things. I'm going to throw myself into my animals in different ways. I'm going to throw myself into my life in different ways. And so I'm not going to have nearly as much time to do all this deep, like, research and learning of new behaviors as somebody who will 10 years, 20 years down the line, who will only have a few years of experience, but still has that gusto, that still has that thrive, that still has that just young body energy, that young keeper energy. And young keeper energy is really what keeps this hobby growing and thriving, because it is true that after, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, there's no way that your passion and the energy you have to put in to continuing to grow knowledge wise and learn and really go out of your way to search out to learn knowledge is going to be the same as somebody who's only been in it a couple of years but is still really gung-ho, still's got all the energy to throw into it. So I'm rambling, but the point is, if you are a keeper right now, no matter how long you've been keeping, and 10, 20, 30 years down the line, you come across some other keeper who's not been keeping nearly as long as you, but has a lot of knowledge that they would like to share with you, and things that they think that you could do better when it comes to keeping your animals based off of what they've learned, based off of the utility, the resources that they have, then be open to it. Be open to hearing what it is they have to say and learning from those individuals, and not being so quick to say, I've had 30, 40 years of experience in this hobby. You've only been in it a few years. You don't know more than me. I'm not listening to you. That is a toxic mindset. It's toxic for our community. It's for individual thoughts. It's toxic for new people coming into the community. It's just toxic all the way around, and it can be toxic for our animals. So stay open, stay thriving, stay willing to learn from whoever. It's not about years. It's about the love. It's about the passion. It's about the time dedicated to growing the knowledge. And if you grow stagnant because you refuse to listen to what new people have to say, then you're not any more knowledgeable than somebody who's only been keeping for a few years, who's thrown their whole life and soul into continuing to learn and grow and thrive when it comes to their animals. So again, I'm rambling, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But you all take care, love yourselves, love your reptiles, love your loved ones, and you all keep spreading those herbs.